Ever wonder why in the winter your pants sometimes stick to your legs?
Or when you rub a balloon in your hair, it seems to stick up and float?
Or when you rub your socks on a carpet and touch a doorknob, you get shocked. Weird, right?
Well, in some way or another, all of these things have to do with electricity and the flow of electrons.
Oh, I remember those. Atoms contain neutrons, protons, and electrons. Neutrons are neutral and protons are positively charged, but these two stay inside the atom.
Right. And electrons, which are negatively charged, can jump from atom to atom.
But what's all this talk about charges? What are they anyway, and where do they come from?
Well, charges themselves are just a lack or an excess of electrons. This difference creates a force, like gravity, that either attracts or repels objects, depending on the charge.
Opposites attract, right? Just like a magnet. If you hold the positive end of an object to a negative one, they'll pull towards each other. But if you pair a positive and a positive, or a negative and a negative, they'll repel each other.
Yep, but magnets are generally polarized. This means that 100% of the positive charge will be on one side, and 100% of the negative charge will be on the other. Most matter starts off as neutral, and will have an equal number of protons and electrons spread all throughout. It takes a force like friction to separate them. Wanna see? Hey kids, watch this. Cool, right? They don't seem to like each other very much. So why did some tapes stick to each other and some tapes repel each other?
Well, that's because of electrostatics, non-moving charges. When we pulled the tapes away from each other, friction caused all the electrons to transfer from one piece of tape to the other piece of tape.
Oh, that's right. Electrons have a negative charge, so the piece of tape that lost electrons becomes positively charged, and the one that gained electrons becomes negatively charged. With all of these electrons flying around, it's a wonder we don't get shocked all the time when we come into contact with things.
Well, some objects don't always accept charges easily, and likewise, they do not transfer their charges easily. These materials are called insulators, and they impede the flow of electrons. Some examples of insulators are the clothes on your body, rubber, and most plastics.
What about the objects that let electrons flow freely when they come into contact with a charge? These are called conductors, right? They allow electrons to pass through the object and spread evenly throughout the surface. Examples of conductors include water, metals such as copper, and the human body. Semiconductors, such as germanium and silicon, can act as both.
That's cool!